Hello, welcome back to the Hood Rat to Harvard podcast, season 3. We have two guests today. I am your host, attorney Chandrika Simmons, also known as the Law Chick. You can find me at lawchic.com. That's lawchick.com. You can also find me on social media at lawchick.com and also my online persona, Hood Rat to Harvard, as well on all platforms. That's HOODRAT, number 2, HARVARD.com. I appreciate you. Follow me on all social media platforms. I'm where you at. So be where I'm at. It don't cost you nothing to follow me. Hello. All right. So season 3, we got some guests. I wanted to talk to people who actually love me and follow me on social media or don't like me and follow me. And I appreciate that too. On social media. And today we have Realtors talking about all things real estate. So we have Dante Baker, who's out of Houston, Texas. And we also have Kia Smith, who's out of the DMV. Dante, can you introduce yourself for us?
Thank you for having me, Chandrika. I am a realtor, of course, out of Houston. I got into the profession about 2 years ago now in 2021. I initially thought that real estate was going to end up being my backup plan and not necessarily the main thing for me. So what happened from that was I was in a master's program. Some things happened in life where my apartment burned down during that Texas freeze that everyone heard about because we were shut down.
Of course.
Moved back home, tried to get into law school one round, didn't make it that time just because I took the LSAT off a wing and knew that real estate was something I wanted to do. But I grew up in a military household. So, in the military households, it's work 20 years, get that retirement, and then you can go live your life and have fun. But until then, you got to work this job. But then during COVID, people my age started dying off. And I was like, oh, baby, no, I'm going to have to live life now.
That's
so
right.
got into real estate because I love to help people. And I also loved the negotiations that I would see. So that's like my long roundabout way of getting into the business that I wanted to be in. But it all worked out for the better because now I'm doing what I love.
Well, that's great. Kia, can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, Chandrika. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I am approaching 20 years in real estate. I initially got licensed in 2004 after buying my first house. And the experience made me feel like it was something that I'd like to do, especially if I could get paid to do what I love, which was immerse myself in architecture and interior design. What I also liked about it was the unlimited income potential because I was a single mom and I wanted the flexibility and the freedom to be able to do things with and for my children that having a 9 to 5 didn't allow me. So that's how it got started. And I gave myself a year and I said, if within a year I can generate as much income from real estate as I do on my 9 to 5, then I will make that my full-time career. So that's what I did. And then a year later, we had the market crash in 2007. Yeah, like 2000, late 2006, 2007 was when the crash took place. And that was just as I had begun to do real estate full time. So I kind of panicked a little bit. I learned the mortgage industry. And as soon as real estate started to come back around, then I shifted with it and got back into it full time.
Wow, you both have a very touching stories. I too am a military kid, come from a military family. I understand that. I'm also a mom of 9 children, 6 non-bio and 3 bio, and so I really understand why how entrepreneurship really helps out in mothering and being a parent. It gives you a lot of leeway, so I can relate to both of you on different levels. Being that you both are practicing real estate, one in the South and one on the East Coast, I just have a request of a couple of questions regarding how real estate is going in your markets currently. But before we get to that, I would like to know if you guys have any top 5 tips that you would like to share with anybody about real estate, whether it's being buying, selling, or investing. Dante?
Okay, so my top 5 kind of fall for everyone because real estate, regardless to if it's for commercial or residential or even farm and ranch, it's still a person. Entities, at least in Texas, are considered to be people. So the top 5 that I have would be formulate a plan because we need to know your why during this process. It sometimes can be stressful depending on what you're looking for. And we need to be able to look back at why you're in the market in the first place as your kind of North Star throughout this process. Number two is on the financial side is I want you to pull the last 90 days of bank stubs and go through and see any frivolous spending that you can kind of take out because generally people think that they can't swing the mortgage either on a rental property, their business can't expand, or even they might not think they can buy. And sometimes you miss those subscriptions that you forgot to cancel or the little things here and there when you spent like the $60 in DoorDash because, the fees add up. Maybe go pick it up instead of getting it delivered, right? Number three is I love us as agents, but generally we all have access to the same systems as far as your MLS and things like that, at least in Houston. So you need to interview multiple agents and make sure you mesh with that person and as well as find out what their plan is to get you into the property that you want to get in. I myself have a plan on how I get my clients in, depending on how they are in the market. I deal with a lot of relocators, retirees, and even military. I don't know how I got in that. I'm only 26, but life be happening.
Right.
And then number four, if this is not your first time buying a home, ignore this. But keep in mind that real estate is one of those things that you stair step into, right? Your first home isn't your last home. So the things that you look in for your last home aren't going to be what you look in for your first home. Make sure you like where you live, but don't also pigeonhole yourself into one style of anything. And that was four or five, because
Four.
okay, four. And then the fifth one for me, because of the type of person I am, is I want you to understand the process and the contract. So I would tell you to research different laws and things about the process because yes, I'm your realtor, but I'm also not an attorney. And so I can't technically give you advice on certain things. So you need to have at least a layman's understanding of certain terms and terminology throughout the contract because I'm going to be saying it, but it's hard for me to explain it without being deemed unauthorized and practicing law, if that makes any sense. But those are generally my top five.
Okay, it does make sense. And as an attorney in private practice that also does real estate transactions, meaning that I review closing documents to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and also to advise my clients as to things that are possibly missing as far as appraisals goes, whether or not they picked the proper appraiser and if it's a deficient or efficient. So I totally understand that. And I really like though your number one of planning of why. Why you need to know why you're going into real estate, why you're embarking on this new venture. As someone who owns several properties, my why was that I wanted to build generational wealth for my family, and I had to figure out a way of going to do that. Also, my why was that I did not want anybody to be able to put me out.
Right.
I don't want to be pigeonholed to a landlord, somebody telling me what it is to do. And that is a double-edged sword because what happened to me recently was in my building that I own, both bathrooms flooded. I can't call anybody but a plumber for an emergency. It's not like I can call a landlord and say, hey, you need to come fix these bathrooms, da, da, da. All that's left up to me. Left up to me to get somebody to clean it up, left up to me to get somebody to fix it, and left up to me to figure out what I'm going to do with my business while they're being fixed. So there's a lot of things that come with being an entrepreneur and owning your own property and all those things. But again, that why I really like that. Then the 90 days bank stuff to review where you probably misspending money. I like that. I tell my clients that when they're going through divorces for other reasons, because their life is about to change and they need to make new changes in regards to how they're going to be operating going forward. You're not going to have the same income coming into the household. So now we got to make new decisions. I guess the same thing would go for when you embarking on real estate, right? Because your life is about to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I like that tip as well. And then interviewing multiple realtors. So I have a set realtor that I use pretty much for everything. That's because I also like to keep all my dollars within my community. As
Right.
you know, I know you're young and I'm old, but but you're educated, and so I know. And I'm not talking about book education. I'm talking about worldly educated. That in the Black community, our dollars tend to go out and not circulate inside our community like other communities do. And so I make a conscious effort for my dollars to circulate in my community and stay as long as possible. So my realtor looks like me, my plumber looks like me, my chiropractor looks like me. Pretty much everybody. I'm trying to make sure maximize. If there's a service that I need, I'm pretty sure that I can find somebody that looks like me that provides that service. And I also subscribe to the adage that I give people multiple chances, because I don't like when people have the attitude of that's why I don't go to Black
Like,
people, because this and that. Well, Walmart treats you bad every day.
and you still go back.
You still go back. So you need to really just shut the hell up, because that's not, you just saying that because you've been conditioned to hate yourself living in America. And so you really need to let that go. So I give people umpteen chances, because I've been disrespected in plenty of stores, and I took a stance. I'm not going back, blah, blah, blah. And then I see a sale and I'm like, oh, they the only ones that got it at this price, and I'm going back. But they treated me like a dog.
Yeah.
And I'm still spending my money with them. So I really wish people would abandon that mentality. And then the other was, make sure you like where it is that you're going. I look at that differently as an attorney and as well as a mother. Because I see a lot of people choosing communities where, and particularly Black people, choosing communities where their child will be the only person in that school district that looks like them. Therefore, making them really the only person in that neighborhood that looks like them. And so you have to make a conscious effort and research as to what psychological effect will this have on your child going forward. While you're trying to, what you think, do upward mobility, what you're really doing is causing psychological damage on your child while you think you're trying to be better. And so I think when you said that, make sure you like where you are, because how are your neighbors going to be treating you? Are you going to be the only one here? Have there been a historical instances of issues with people who look like you in this neighborhood? Do they call the police a lot here? Have they been on in the news about they don't like a certain thing in the area you're attempting to move into? All those things play a factor. I like how you put that out there. I like that top 5. You doing the thing. And then understanding the process. It's akin to me. I have a viral video about divorce, because I have clients that we interviewing each other.
Yes.
And so when people are going through divorce, and I might not be for your liking, and they'll go get a different attorney, and that's fine. But don't come back to me after the attorney has dogged you and explained anything to you and overcharged you, and you thought my rates were too high for whatever reason, against institutionalized hate. You thought my rates were too high, but you went and paid somebody else that don't look like me twice as much money, and then they didn't deliver for you. Then you come back and ask me for services. The time to ask questions is before you embark on the process. So if you have questions about real estate and what do you call it, interest rates, different loans you can qualify for, you really should do your research prior to you embarking on it. And then when you're in the process, you still need to ask questions about that. And if your realtor cannot ask them, particularly in Texas, if your realtor can't ask you those questions, then you need to seek out an attorney who is well versed in that area of the law. And real estate is the actual area of the law. Real estate law is a real thing, as you know, because I think that your trajectory is that you eventually want to become an attorney and embark on this game of real estate law and be able to better service your clients. So talk to me more about that.
So I actually am glad you asked. I have the perfect example for that right now. And being that I'm not an attorney, I cannot give legal advice on anything, but there's a lot of things that affect real estate. So like, for instance, in the example I'm giving you, family law affects real estate because, well, is it family law or probate law? All of it is family. Okay. So a father has died there is apparently a trust, but there's also a will.
Mm.
Um, they haven't been able to find the will yet, but the trust documents have a lot of check Texas property code this, do that, do this. And there's giving it to me like, hey, what does this mean? And I'm like, I understand it because of the type of person I am. I'm smart. I go research things. I'll look at it. I'll even throw it like in today's day and age. I'll throw it in ChatGPT and be like, hey, bring this out in layman's term, and then I'll go fact check and everything. And I'm like, okay, so this is technically what I found, but I can't tell you this is correct. So you have to go get an attorney. And so, me being the strong headed person I am, that irritates the hell out of me. And so, I'm like, I'm just going to go do it because one, our people need more representation in every fashion. And two, if I can better help serve my clients, it's worth it because my law degree will be free. I'm a military vet. So, I don't really have an excuse as to like why not to go.
Right.
And I've always been able to consume a lot of information, and I understand that law school is something completely different because apparently you have a lot of type A people all together at once. But I feel like it's something I've always wanted to do, and I've always had the innate ability. And there's also just this like universal push for me from just higher beings and things like that to go that route because I've always been put in situations where I'm like, I can't tell you this because I'm technically not an attorney, but it's supposed to be this. And then they go check with an attorney and they're like, yeah, that's right. And I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna make it happen.
That's great. And also if I heard you say earlier about the LSAT and the issues with that, don't let the LSAT or whatever score you get on that dictate your trajectory because I'm one of the lawyers who I didn't know, it was pure ignorance. I didn't know that the LSAT had as much weight as it did for entry into law school. My thing was that they just told me that this is the thing you had to have in order to get here. So I went to the Detroit Public Library on Woodward every Saturday and I just studied a book. And then I just took the LSAT and I didn't take it multiple times. I didn't care what they said. Did you have to have a minimum of this? I said, well, I can do that. And so I just did that. And then I started applying to law schools. What they didn't tell me, and I don't know if I don't know if hindsight is always 2020. I don't know if it hurt me or helped me, but I think it helped me more than it hurt. But I got into law school, and my score wasn't the top, whatever how they doing stuff now. But once I got to law school, one of my best friends, Catherine, we were sitting in class one day, and she said she had to go to the financial aid office to check on her scholarship. And I was like, oh, you got a scholarship? Like, how did you get this? Like, why? How do you get a scholarship for law school? And like, I was totally ignorant to the fact. She's like, yeah. So I scored a certain amount on my LSAT, and as a result, this law school gives you a scholarship, a partial scholarship. I said, what? What now? And so I still think about that. This is like, wait a minute, I could have got a scholarship had I really studied for this and went hard for it. And I don't think that, hindsight, it could have been something, but it is what it is. But I don't want you to think that the LSAT is the litmus test for, because, as somebody that's already taken it, it has nothing to do with the law. It is strictly about logic and trying to see how your mind works and shaping how you logically think about something. And so it shouldn't be a barrier for you to get into law school. And there are plenty of law schools that take students with varying scores, so keep all of that in mind. And then being in the military, there are plenty of law schools that will accept you because they want that money, because they know that money's coming and ain't no strings attached to it. And so if that's truly what your desire is, we need you over here. As you know, we only represent about 3% of lawyers overall. I think because Black attorneys are more vocal in social media, people assume that there's a lot of us. We have to be on social media because we don't have the institutional network that others have. So therefore, we have to go about marketing and doing things a certain way in order to get the clientele into the office. So I think people think because they see Black attorneys that there are more of us than there are. There's not that many of us. And so we need you over here.
Yeah, and I think on TikTok, I follow you, and then I follow Lauren the lawyer. And I think those are the only two Black lawyers that I've seen come across my TikTok for you page. Both of which I love because I absolutely adore. And then Lauren the lawyer was like damn near a shark when it comes to certain things. But no, circling back to that LSAT thing, let me tell you, I did the self study for the LSAT. And you remember, I was on a live of yours, and you were talking about a job that you were interviewing for where you had to create a plan and everything.
Yeah.
And you got to the final interview and just lost it all. When I sat down, because I did the LSAT Flex during COVID, so it was online. The dude had taken over my computer. He was changing settings and things, and I was already irritated. Baby, when that LSAT started, I said, I don't remember a damn thing that I've studied.
Oh my.
I
Okay.
just have to go through it.
Oh, let me tell this story. Oh my God. So I had left the union. I had a nice job. I could have stayed at, but it was killing me internally anyway. So I left and I was interviewing for these top tier jobs. Like, I'm top tier. So somebody recruited me to be like a director over this top tier job. And I'm like, I did my research. I did all the things. My plan that they made me put together a plan. How are you going to restructure our program, and how you're going to do this and that. I had the ultimate plan. I was a top 3 candidate for them. Here comes the interview, and when I tell you, it felt like an episode, like a Miss America, when they talking and they're saying yes, and how do you feel? How are you going to feel about the war over and yes, and hunger. And people, and they yes.
Then me taking the LSAT, I said, "Oh my God!" And I mean, I ended up getting a 147, which is a very average score.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I got to take this because again, smart, hard headed, and all the other things. I'm like, I will not have a 147 on my application.
Right. You know you can do better. So yeah. I get that. But yeah, we have moments. Life be absolutely life. And when I got off that interview, I called my sister. I was like, girl, you ain't gonna believe what I said. I said I might as well have been in a Miss America pageant because, honey, I just said whatever came out the door. I said everything that I ever learned and knew just left me, honey. I said I have no chance of getting this job.
And I want to say that live happened after I took the LSAT, and it made me feel so much better. I was like, oh, see, we all be having moments.
Baby, and life be life to you, honey. But the thing is, can you laugh about it? Can you overcome it? Can you do something different going forward? And then that path, truth be told, that path wasn't for me. I needed to actually build my business up. And then my best friend, she came to me once I started the business. I didn't get that job. And so once I started my private practice and ramping it up, whatever, it was hard. It was hard trying to get clientele. It was hard trying to retain clients. It was very difficult. And I told her, I was like, girl, I'm trying to go back to a direct deposit. She was like, direct deposit is the devil. She was like, it's the devil. And you trying to go back to the devil. You need to stop it. You need to get yourself together. You got the skills and the tools to do it. And she said, and you're going to stop this crying. You're going to stop thinking that you got to go back to corporate America. You don't. And she gave me that pep talk, and I got my shit together. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do this. And she's like, and if you need help with something, you call me because we're going to do this together. And we've been doing this together for a long time now. And it has worked out. And I did have to retrain my mind to do something different and go about it doing it a different way. Now, circling back, now in the realty game, are you finding that you have to do creative marketing? You have to, as far as client attrition goes, keeping clients and getting more clients. How's that working for you?
So once I have you, I have you. I'm one of those people that people generally like. I still to this day don't know why. It be over my head. I'm like, y'all like me? All right, child, I guess. But as you can tell, my brand is Mr. Home Advocate, and that came from I've done, like, outside of being in the military and going to college, working at the police department, all the things that I've ever done, majority of my jobs have always been sales in some form.
Okay.
But even in those sales, I've always, like, I generally used to call myself your paid best friend. Baby, I'm going to tell you what you need to know, not what you want to hear. Right. Because I need you to be able to be comfortable with your decision at the end of the day. Because regardless to what I tell you, you have to make the choice yourself. So for me, when it comes to marketing, a lot of it, and I hate social media. I'm still trying to get better at posting because I told you, I was like, I don't be posting on here. I don't. But it's like the main way of getting clients, because generally the client range that I want is anywhere from 20 to like 50, 55. Generally, anybody older than that has either bought a property or two and they kind of have their set person. And I feel like there's enough out there for everyone, so I'm not going after people who already are like set in their ways. I'm like, I don't want to disturb you. You have your flow. That's fine. I like dealing with like the first time home buyers or the people who had a terrible experience and are like, I don't want to use that person again, but they've never. Here's the thing. We always say first time home buyers. We never say first time home seller because you buy a home for the first time, but you want to sell a home for the first time.
Yeah.
Those people get lost in the weeds because it's like, oh, they're just going to sell it. I'm like, no, I have to go through your house and tell you, I love what you did with the place, but we have to take all this down. Like, those are the conversations I have to have. And so for me, not liking social media, it's definitely hard marketing myself. It's been word of mouth so far and just general random connections on, I don't know how the hell they've happened, but it's also kind of confirming where I'm at, where I'm supposed to be at. Because every time I'm like, I'm done with real estate. This is shit. All these agents are stupid. I just can't do this. A deal falls in my lap. And I'm like, all right, got to do this for this person. And so I'm trying to get more intentional with my social media production, but generally marketing for real estate is still a word to mouth type of business.
Now, since you've been in real estate,
Mhm.
since you've been in the real estate game, have you found have you ever had any doubt, like maybe I need to do something different here, or take a different approach as far as building up your clientele?
So here's the thing. I'm a march to the beat of my own drum type of person. So like you tell me this works. I'm like, I don't like how it works. I'm gonna do it a different way. So like that's just been me generally. So I try to stick with like what works, but put my own spin on it. So like I'll do a home buyer seminar, but somehow my parting gift ended up being champagne bottles because not everybody came. Like I'm just we're gonna do this and we're gonna have fun with it because I truly believe that when it comes to real estate, we the business is a lot of used car salesmen, right? It's always a great time to buy a house. It's always a great time to sell a house. I'm like, baby, I can't tell you shit until we have a conversation on why. And that's why I say my first thing is why. Because in this business, I will sell 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 homes, hopefully at some point every year. You're only going to sell your house 3 to 4 times before you settle in your final home. So it's definitely a handheld process each time you do it. And so I like to make sure I'm advocating for people, and that's kind of where my spin comes off on it. But generally, my marketing tends to stick with the homebuyer seminars and just like mailers and things like that.
Okay, sounds good. So, I know I have another question. Oh, so I have I would like for people to know, where can they reach out to you, if they wanted to acquire you as their realtor, and can you tell us all about that?
Yeah. So there's some uncomfortable conversations that you have to have in real estate. And so I've created questionnaires for them because I don't like to have the conversation, but I need to know the information like your income, your credit, those different things. So you can start working with me at mrhomeadvocate.com. There's all the questionnaires that I have. You could also shoot me a text at 346-320-7291 or go to my Instagram at Mr. Home Advocate. All of it's going to be on the screen that they see, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can go to mrhomeadvocate.com and everything's there, or you can also just, again, shoot me a text at my number on the screen.
Thank you so much, Dante. I really appreciate you. And the more I talk to you directly, because when we be on social media, I can only talk and you can only type. Yeah. But it is so refreshing to be able to know how my followers think and process, because it seems like we're more akin. Like my therapist told me when I started on this journey that I would find my village. And like the more you talk, the more it sounds like you're somebody I birthed. Like you're like it's somebody who kind of thinks along the same lines as me and has the same type of no nonsense approach.
Now you see why every time I come in your lives, I'm like, hey auntie. Because when I went on the path of I'm gonna do my own thing, I intentionally sought out women, specifically Black women, because I'm like, if I can find them, I'll be okay. Because for me, my journey has always been like one of the other things, not to like derail the podcast or anything, is when I realized that I wanted to build my own business and just the way I was raised, I grew up in a matriarchy. So when I went to college and all these things, and we started talking about destroy the patriarchy and all these other things, I'm like, I'm confused. I'm like, what are men running? We stupid. I don't get this. I don't understand it. Maybe not all of y'all should be talking right now. So it's very intentional for me to find people on social media that do kind of mirror what I say, and then it's also refreshing when you actually get to have conversations with those people, and they are the exact same as they are on their lives. Because not everybody is real on that app.
Oh, I know. But I thank God that I get to be myself. That is therapeutic, and I don't know how people do it, because pretending to be somebody else, it has to be exhausting. Like it's like too many hats to wear. I wear too many tats right now with all the kids I got and with my husband, honey, and I'm running all these businesses. I have too many hats as it is. So I can't go on social media and fake the funk for y'all. I don't even know how to do that. It ain't in my DNA. In the words of Kendrick Lamar, it ain't in my DNA to be able to do that. So, yeah. But it is so refreshing. I really am appreciative of you, because I put out the call for my mutuals to, and people who follow me that want to be on my podcast, to reach out to me. And when I saw that you weren't in my DMs, and I was like, wait a minute, realtors have reached out to me in my DMs. I said, Dante do real estate. And when you popped up, I was like, Dante, you need to be on my podcast, because I need you to be there as well, to hold this down so you can get exposure as well. And promote yourself. And then you were like, yeah, I want to promote, but I really don't want to do a social media thing. That is a real thing, because social media in itself is a job. To do that.
I'm already real estate in itself. I'm already advising you on this contract more than I probably should, just because that's my personality, and we just gonna do what it do. I'm making sure I'm doing everything so I don't get sued, because the real estate is a business where they're like, not if you get sued, when you get sued. But I'm like, baby, I'm gonna have all I's and T's, J's, all this stuff is gonna be correct, and you won't be able to get me, because even when I do my back systems things, all the emails we've ever sent goes into a file. So I have everything. And I'm like, I don't want to add social media on top of that, because now I have to think about what I'm going to talk about or things like that. And I'm like, I try to have the conversation with people as much as I can when real estate gets brought up, because I want people to know that it's not something that you should do because someone told you should. It's something that you have to want to do.
Right.
Because not everybody wants to own, and not everybody should own. Because again, like you said, baby, when them bathrooms flood, that's your problem. You cannot call anybody else.
No.
And if that happens the day after closing, baby, that's your problem. You can't call nobody else. So I want to make sure that people are getting into situations that make sense for them.
Right. I like that you are transparent with that, because I had this conversation with one of my children about 3 years ago, when she was embarking on whether or not she wanted to move towards owning property or renting. And I had took a class where they were teaching us that this new generation, and at that time it was millennials, may not be the generation of home ownership, that they may be a generation of renting, and they're okay with that. Whereas as a Black woman living in America, my grandfather always taught me that people who own the land make the decisions. And so it's always been in the forefront of my mind that I have to own land and own property in order for me to be at the forefront of decision making, because the property owners make the decisions. But this certain generations may not be inclined to do that, because with ownership comes responsibility, right? In addition to you getting taxed and you paying school taxes and
all the things, and taxes change,
all those things. And so this generation may be the generation of renting and leasing, and not look for home ownership. So I think that that's another issue for realtors now too, of people who don't want to have home ownership, and they're content with renting from somebody else.
You see why I want to go to law school? Something like, because again, this is something I do because I like to help people and make sure it makes sense. But I've been blessed to be able to move back home after that fire to just kind of like settle a little bit. And so I've realized in doing real estate that I don't like to do it for the money. I like to do it to make sure people are in places where they need to be, and that they're in the position that they best fit in. So I've pretty much accepted that I'm going to have to, like, when I said I wanted to be an attorney, I'm like, I'm going to have to do that as like a 9-to-5 type of situation. because I can screw these companies. I don't care,
Right,
baby. They got it. But your every day-to-day small business owner or your every person, I'm like, I'm gonna make sure you're taken care of, and whatever we have to do, we gonna do to get you in this house. Like that's me. So
I like that.
it is what it is. And as long and I'm actually the first year Gen Z at 97. So for tenants and leasing, as long as you know all your tenant laws and rights, go ahead because you still have rights as a tenant.
Yeah.
Forget.
Yeah, they do. And in Michigan, I'm in Michigan, and Michigan is a tenant-friendly state. Some states are not. Some states are landlord.
But there's still laws and everything around it.
Michigan is tenant-free. It take a lot to get a tenant out of a property up here. But to switch gears, because we're gonna start wrapping this up, I got two questions for you. And one is, what is your purpose for existing?
So that's been something that on from turning 25 to 26 was a big point of contention. I'm like, why am I like, what is the purpose for me? But everywhere I look, I'm always in a position where I end up helping someone. And so I really think that I'm here to help people get to their next position because it seems like I elevate without trying. Like I try, of course, but the pieces always align for me and they don't always align for everyone else. And the things I've been through in life, I shouldn't be where I'm at.
Oh, so our numbers are akin.
Yeah. So like that's what in your life I was like, see, hey auntie, the things that have happened in my life, I should not be where I'm at.
Right.
And so I always make sure that I give people the knowledge and things that I've learned that they might not have been given or have the ability to learn.
Oh wow, that's awesome because it's sort of akin to my purpose of that I'm the voice of the voiceless. I'm the voice for those who don't know that they have a voice. Thank you for sharing that. And my next one is because this is 2023 and it's the 50th anniversary of hip hop. If you love hip hop, now you can answer this question. What song made you fall in love with hip hop?
You know, I've been thinking about that since you gave me the call sheet, and I'm like, it's really hard because I'm like, you have Jump by Crisscross. That was like the very first one that I heard as like a kid. And I was like, okay, I like this. And then growing up, International Players Anthem came out, and I was like, you know what? That song is our Black National Anthem, even though we have one. That song, anytime you hear that song, the room is never quiet.
It absolutely isn't. And this is your hometown boy, so Bun B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Trill.
I'm 1 degree away from that man. Like, you know, the 6 degrees of separation. I'm like 1 degree away from 1 degree of separation. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cute. But then again, that's how I end up succeeding because I treat everyone the same. Baby, you a person. Your job just so happens to be entertainment.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Well, it kind of is from being from Detroit. We think we famous, so when we see famous people, we don't really care.
Yeah. And it's like I've had this thing. I'm like, you're gonna be famous one day. You're gonna be around the stars. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm a star. So what is it?
Right. I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So. Oh wow. Well, I thank you, Dante. I would like to have Kia on again. Kia was having some technical difficulties when we began. We thought we fixed those prior to starting. It seems that we did not. But if you wanted to reach out to Kia, I'm gonna put up her information. She is a DMV realtor. Her name is Kia Smith. Her IG is Kia Sales DMV. That's KIASELLS DMV. And her number is 202-815-7101. And I do appreciate her for reaching out to me and attempting to be on the podcast. I greatly appreciate it. But if you're ever in the DMV region and you need a realtor, hit Kia up. Again, that's Kia Smith and Kia Sales DMV on all platforms. I appreciate that. And then for Dante, if you need a realtor in Houston or greater Houston area, I don't know how it works in Texas, Dante.
So we're only supposed to go where we're competent. So I do all of greater Houston, your Katie's, your Sugarlands, your Conroes, with the Woodlands, trying to hit all the big names that I know people know from outside of Texas.
Yeah.
Also can practice in San Antonio because I'm knowledgeable about that area. That's where I went to college and I lived there for about 3-4 years. So if you need anything from me, again, Dante Baker, realtor out in Houston, all platforms is at Mr. Home Advocate.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you for being on the podcast, and I appreciate people reaching out to me to be a guest. If you would like to be a guest in my podcast, you can hit me up at hoodrattoharvard@gmail.com and let me know what topic you want to talk about, and we'll cater the podcast around your topic. I want to use this platform to elevate and expose others, because it helps me and it might help somebody else along their journey. Again, that's all part of my advocacy and my purpose here and on this earth. And so if you want to do that, just hit me up, hoodrattoharvard@gmail.com. And I appreciate you listening to the podcast, and subscribe to me on all platforms, and not just subscribe, but leave a comment and also share with your friends and family, because that's how we build this platform and we expose each other to each other. Thank you. And I appreciate you. And next time, don't hesitate to reach out. I appreciate it.